Namaste, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another enlightening, power packed episode of Pauzeitive, your source of spiritual insights and divine tales. I am Vijayalakshmi, your host, yours truly, and like always, I am super excited to have your association. Thank you for joining me. Before I start with today's episode, I would like to make a very humble plea, which is if you find any faults in my speech, it is said that an intelligent human being overlooks the faults in others, and such an intelligent human being takes good from even a filthy speech. Considering you all superior and much more intelligent than I am, I hope you will forgive any faults in my speech. Let's get started. It's been a long time that I have had these burning questions that I'll be sharing with you all intelligent, beautiful souls today. What are these questions? Well, the whole episode is dedicated to these questions. I have my full list ready right here in front of me to be shared with you all. These questions are like, why are we here? What happens after we die? And why do we face so many challenges? Do you also have these questions, that what exactly are we doing on this revolving planet? Well, in that case, you have tuned in to the right platform. After diving deep into one of the most sacred texts of Hinduism, I finally found some answers. Now, this text, which is the cream of literature, so it is said that Vedic literature is like an ocean of milk, and this specific text is the cream or the butter of that ocean of milk. It is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Krishna the Almighty. I have talked so much about Shri Krishna, my beloved Lord, but still I have to talk about him from the very beginning. So hopefully in the upcoming episodes, again I'll be talking about my Krishna. Krishna is like a breeze of fresh air that after few episodes, I believe that again, we have to go back to the center of the universe, Lord Krishna. Hari bol to that. So very soon, yes, I'll be talking about Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna once again. I haven't really talked about Srimati Radharani, my cute Kishori, so very soon let's expect that. Hari bol to that. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a very sacred scripture for all of those who don't know. I would highly recommend that if you are curious to know why are we here, what exactly is the purpose, what is the mission of human life, why are there so many species, what happens after death, is it a new beginning? So questions like that and much more. The essence of all the Vedic scripture is Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna personified. Hari bol. So I have a list of questions right here. What is the purpose of human life? What is the purpose of human life? Do you have this question? I found out the answer in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam states that the ultimate purpose of one's life is to realize one's true nature and attain a loving relationship with God. And this attaining of a loving relationship with God is called bhakti, the selfless devotional service. The pursuit of spiritual goals should always be higher than those of material goals, because, anyway, whatever we gain here, the material realm, remains here. Whatever we gather here in the spiritual realm goes even after this human clothing, once we leave this human clothing. To that, let me ask you, have you ever seen a human being that has now died or started a new beginning after leaving their clothing? Take away their piece of land or their property or any kind of material asset with them. No, right? So the pursuit of spiritual goals should be higher than those of material goals. And this is the purpose of life. Attaining bhakti, pursuit of spiritual goals, and Srimad Bhagavatam explains that human life is considered a rare opportunity for spiritual advancement due to the unique capacity for self reflection and devotion. Have you seen a dog sitting and chanting the name of the Lord? No. Have you seen a fish chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? No. Only a human can do that. You will see human devotees dancing and all enchanted in the glorious name of the Lord, because that is the goal of human life. Haribol. Now, question number 2, another question that gave me sleepless nights. What is death? And what happens after we die? Death, as per the sacred scriptures, is described as the soul's transition from one body to another, a process governed by karma. It's like changing clothes. Death is like changing clothes. And this is revealed in the Vedic scriptures, be it Srimad Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And answering to the second part of the second question, that what happens after death? It is beautifully mentioned in our Vedic scriptures that depending on the karma of the living being, when we are assigned this particular human clothing, what karma are we doing, generating? Our next birth or the journey after leaving this human clothing is dependent on that. So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that the nature of next life is determined by one's actions and consciousness at the time of death. Now, this is very important. Consciousness. Consciousness at the time of death. That whatever one thinks at the time of death, when the person is leaving this human clothing, we achieve that. That person achieves that. So, this whole idea of chanting the holy name, remembering the Lord, practicing bhakti is preparing for the real moment of test. And that would be at the last, when we are about to leave this human clothing. If one has never chanted the holy name, if one has never remembered the great Lord, how come one can remember him at the time of leaving this human clothing, at the time of death? For example, if a student who has never studied, who didn't study for the entire year, and now in the examination he's not collecting the ideas to put on paper, because he never studied. He never opened the book and actually understood what is it teaching, preaching. No. Likewise, if we are not opening the book of bhakti, if we are not finding enough time in our so busy schedule to devote it towards the one who created us, how can we claim to remember him at the time of death? And whatever we remember at that time, we'll attain that. So after, what will happen after, once we leave this clothing, we can actually control that. Yes, we can't control what will happen in the very next moment, but we can absolutely control what will happen after we leave this human clothing. So just like I remember that in science I used to study the concept of designer babies. It's just like designing next life, designing death. What will happen next? What next? Another interesting question that I often had is, why can't we take our material assets with us after death? That I see people who are struggling so hard. We all struggle so much to make both ends meet, to earn the daily bread and butter. Yes, we are all struggling hard. Then why can't we take it with us, whatever we are earning? Why can't we take the piece of land that we have gained, or maybe this mic? Not that I want to take it. For instance, why can't we take anything? This clothes. Forget about this particular piece of clothing. Why can't I take this body that I am currently in? After death, why do we have to leave it here? Have you ever seen any human being, especially in this age where we are so obsessed with doing our hair and makeup and whatnot, but we fail to even take this piece of clothing, this flesh and bones with us when we die? Why is that? Now, this is a question that has troubled me and given me so many sleepless nights. Finally, I found out the real answer. Our Vedic scriptures say that material possessions are tied to the physical body and the temporary world, whereas the soul transcends these. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches that attachment to material assets binds the soul to the cycle of birth and death, emphasizing the importance of spiritual wealth which endures beyond death. So, our Vedic scriptures are full of wisdom, and they actually scream out loud to us that whatever endeavors we are trying to make to gain the material assets, to be the kings of materialism, fortunately, unfortunately, our soul is not in any connection with them. That's why when the soul migrates to maybe another realm, it fails to take whatever is associated with this material clothing. That is why, my beautiful souls, we can't take any of the material assets that we are running after. So it's high time we run after gaining something that will go with us even when we leave this human clothing, this beautiful planet. Hari bol to that. Another question: why are there so many species? When I was in school, in my university, I always used to wonder when I used to study about all the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, and I used to learn the names of different flora and fauna, I always used to question myself that, oh God, why did you create so many species? Now I have to cram all of these. So the answer to my why I got now. So the diversity of species is a result of the varied desires and karma of living entities, leading to different forms of life suited to fulfilling those desires. So everything I believe is interconnected. Correct me if I'm wrong, that whatever we desire at the time of death, we gain it in our next adventure. And that's how different species are also in existence. Another reason that Srimad Bhagavatam highlights is the universe as a dynamic interplay of material energy and consciousness, creating different forms of life to accommodate the soul's evolutionary journey towards spiritual realization. Now, this is again very fascinating. I read it somewhere that we all follow the same steps, and we all will one day have to go through that same path, just like how I mentioned that we are given a puzzle and we have to reach to an answer, and how we have different religions as different methods of reaching to that conclusion. In my previous video I have dictated that. Feel free to go back and tune into it, no money charged. So yes, our soul has evolutionary journey, that we learn something, okay, and then we make it as an inherent part of us, and then when we come to level B, we still have that gained spiritual knowledge, and we take that to go to step B and step C and so on. And to have that, we need a different body. That's why different species, it makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense to you. If not, I'll try to explain it in a different way in my next video. Another question. Now, this question, one very little devotee asked me. She is a doll. She is only, I believe, 6 years of age, and she asked me that why can't we see God? I was like, that's interesting and quite fascinating to hear from someone who is so young. So, our Vedic scriptures reveal, it's written in Srimad Bhagavatam as well, that God is beyond the perception of material senses. Just like how when we go to watch a 3D movie, we need to wear the glasses to have a better vision. Otherwise, it won't make any difference of watching that movie in 3D. So those glasses is what we need. And here, those glasses, this is again my interpretation. I have a poor fund of knowledge, so please excuse any mistakes that I commit. So I see that we need those glasses to put on to see God. And those glasses are comprised of devotion and purification of the heart. So with the glass of devotion, now this is devotion and this is purification of the heart. Devotion and purification, devotion and purification, devotion and purification of the heart. I can repeat it again and again, not for you intelligent people, but for me, because I need to gain this, that I need devotion and purification of my heart so that I can see God. Hari bol to that. I hope it makes sense. So with the glass of devotion and purification of the heart, we can see beyond the physical vision, and we can see through our inner spiritual vision God. God will be right in front of us. This is my faith 100% I believe in this, and my whole idea behind sharing this is that if someone wants to take this belief from me, more than welcome. If not, there is nothing that can change me from following my belief. No number of negative comments, no number of hatred, disliking me, all of that. I am never gonna change my belief that yes, with the lens of devotion and purification of the heart, one day I will see my Krishna, my great Lord Shri Hari. Hari Bol to that. Next question. Why is there failure and suffering? Do we want them? Nope. Do we get them? Yes. Let's see why. Why do we have failure and suffering? So our Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, they attribute suffering and failure to past karma and the dualities of the material world, such as pleasure and pain, which are parts of the soul's learning process. It emphasizes that suffering can be a catalyst for spiritual growth, encouraging detachment from the temporary world and turning one's focus towards the eternal. I have lived it. I am still living it somewhere, I believe. We all do. That once we detach from something, we find our focus shifting towards something else. And if that something else is God, in most of the cases, it is working in our favor. We might grieve the loss of, let's say, a beautiful relationship that ended in our life. But when you come out of that, you will look back and you will be so grateful that it happened, because now you are in a much better place and you are more closer to the one who created you. I mean, I can, let millions of such relationships go if letting them go means that I'll be getting closer, even just one teeny tiny step, to my dear Krishna. Hari bol to that. So that is why we have suffering and failure. Now, another question is, what is the nature of the soul? The soul, atman, is eternal, immortal, never dies, indestructible, and is distinct from the physical body. Like, you all can see my physical clothing, but not my soul, the real me. It is described as a particle of divine consciousness that animates the body. The soul's true nature is pure and blissful, but it is covered by ignorance, avidya, due to material association. Another question is, what is karma and how does it affect us? Karma refers to the laws of action and reaction, where every action generates a corresponding result. And good actions, punya, lead to a positive outcome, while bad actions, pap, result in suffering. And this cycle continues across lifetimes, influencing one's circumstances and experiences. Another very interesting question is, why do souls undergo the cycle of birth and death? Our Vedic scriptures beautifully explain that this cycle of birth and death is driven by unfulfilled desires and accumulation of karma. Liberation, moksha, from this cycle is achieved through spiritual realization and surrender to the divine will of the Lord, which purifies the karmic bonds of the soul. What is the ultimate goal of yoga? We see so many people practicing yoga these days, which is a great thing. But what exactly is the goal of yoga? Our scriptures beautifully explain. Again, this is not me talking, but I am just taking reference from our Vedic scriptures. Whatever is written there, I am only speaking it out loud. So, the ultimate goal of yoga is to unite the individual soul with the Supreme. This is yoga, the union, leading to self realization and liberation, moksha. So, there are different paths of yoga, such as bhakti yoga, my favorite, that I practice trying to. Two is Gyan Yoga, and third is Karma Yoga. So these are different paths to achieve union with Paramatma. It's yoga. Now, another question, which this is again my personal question, it's not that anyone has asked me to answer these questions. These are my questions that I had, and I found my answer when I did reading of the scriptures. There is this one question, that why do spiritual seekers encounter obstacles and challenges? Like, you might not notice that days when you are doing chanting and you are right on track, you are feeling like, okay, I am doing everything, but then you have some outburst, or you show like you do something wrong and you go off the track. So, why do we face challenges, especially when somebody is a spiritual seeker? And the answer to that is, obstacles arise due to our past karma, lingering attachments, and the influence of Maya, illusion, which distracts the mind from spiritual goals. These challenges, however, are opportunities for growth, helping the seeker to develop patience, humility, and deeper devotion. So, when we feel that now we are being challenged and we might fall from the path of bhakti, my beautiful souls, just hang in tight, because that is all in the plan. Krishna will never let us fail. Krishna himself told Arjun that go and proclaim to all that my devotee shall never be vanquished. Hari bol to that. I have so many questions. Hopefully, in some other future episode, we're gonna answer all those questions. Feel free to comment down in case you have any question that you would like me to find out in the Vedic scriptures and answer, because again, I don't have that much of knowledge that I can answer it on my own. Sorry about that. Thank you for understanding, and thank you for delving into today's episode. We learned why are we here, why we can't take all that we are earning in the material realm with us once we leave this human clothing. Why do we take rebirth, or why are we stuck in the cycle of birth and death? We unraveled the concept of karma. We got enlightened why we face obstacles on the path of bhakti. If you are intrigued and want to delve deeper, I would highly encourage you to read our sacred text, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Hopefully, you will get all the answers to all the questions. Remember, no question is a weird question. Remember, we are all in this journey together, learning, falling, getting up. It's all in the process. And God is with us at all times. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might need little enlightenment today. Keep those questions coming. Stay curious, stay positive. Until next time, keep your hearts open and your spirits high. Namaste, Hari Bol.